Right. A terminology that I hate is it's just, right? It's just a superhero film. It's just this. It's just that. Nothing to get yourself bothered about, right? That I totally hate because it's people not understanding each other roughly, right? Or taking the time to interest. So in this video, I'm gonna, for me, now in my other videos, I've already went over some of this stuff already, but I feel like sometimes I need to, get it back out there because somebody who might not have watched the last one might get this one. So people that say it's people that have closed their minds to things, right? They've not taken the time to put themselves in the other person's shoes to understand better, and that is what society wants you to do. More about that later. So let's take it simple before we go into crazy town, okay? So we have our passions. We have our uh, passions for either music, movies, hobbies, cycling, mountain climbing, the lot, football games, you name it, right? And once we get that hobby, we throw ourselves into it. Why? Because it's something for us, right? It's something for us. It's something that helps us escape from uh, the mundane of life. We get up, we go to work, we come home, we get our dinner, we do the house chores or whatever it is we need to do in the house. We go to bed and we start it all over again every day. So, but there's those fractions of times when we have time where we can just indulge in stuff that we love doing. And so when we do that, we throw ourselves into knowledge about what we're doing, and we're passionate of what happens next. And so whether it be, I mean, there's a guy online who loves the Queen, and he's thrown himself into that, and he's one of these things of if you asked him any question, he could answer it. Why? Because he spent his time now. He's married man, kids, and everything else. But to him, his passion's Queen. He knows everything. He can tell you what clothes certain people were wearing certain gigs and everything else because he takes an interest, and that's what makes that person happy. So when football, you support the team, you hope that they beat the other team, and you buy the banners, you buy the T-shirts and everything else, and you worry about who's going to be in charge of the team, who's going to manage the team, and everything else. So you invest money into it, you because you want the best for the team, and it's the same when it comes to TV shows and how long is it going to run, what actors playing who. You pass it around to everybody to try to convince them to watch it. It's a cool show and everything, and movies and everything, and superheroes, whatever you're at, sci-fi, Star Trek, whatever really you throw yourself into, that is your passionate. So you end up making passionate videos. Why do you make passionate videos? Because you're frustrated, and not everyone in your household is into the same stuff that you're into. Right? So it's common sense. So when you hear somebody saying, "Oh, it's just a superhero movie," then that person's just not into it. He doesn't have that same inkling. He just sees it as just a movie. But then here's the thing: I made a video back a wee while ago, and I was angry. It was my point of view. Now I'm making these videos not for anyone to see or for anyone to think with. Is uh, it's just to get my opinion out there. And of course, what happens to all these uh, now I was feeling angry at the time. I was feeling upset. So what do? Well, you create a title for the subject that you're making, and that expresses that anger, right? So I came up with something like, "Is Black Panther the most racist film?" Right? Now I'm not saying the film was racist, but I'm talking about the people that for them to want, for people to want it to win awards just because the cast was black and they deserve it. They deserve it because of that main reason. That's what I was thinking was a wee bit racist. What you taking pity that they deserve, that they're getting it just because it's black? Because it was just a normal film, and nothing special about it, right? So, and of course you don't want to be so I made the title, and of course people people didn't like it, the title, and they put their thumbs down, right? They disliked it, or they left a comment or whatever, and that kind of sums up mostly what I'm talking about. And what I'm talking about is people are really, their comics, media, movies, entertainment, right? They're all trying to basically control us in a way, right? Right now you've got this, and I've said it in many videos before, is the gender movement or the racist movement on the TV, right? Now this has probably happened since long ago, since Star Trek, since black and white and whatnot, right? Star Trek trying to teach us what a better life can be, right? And the thing is, we're living in a society now where everything is online. You're reaching more people. You're you're on YouTube. You're on your phone. So so for governments or anybody else to make an impression on you, they would have to follow this medium, this thing. Why? Because now we're living in a world where we're not going out. We're not exploring the worlds, right? We're not seeing things for ourselves. So we rely on what we see. And for those things that somehow don't gel with us or we don't like, right, we don't bother reading into it. We don't read it. So if something's got a title that we just don't disagree with or we don't want to listen to it, then we don't read it, we don't investigate, right? Because you're only you will only follow things that you're into, right? Superhero movies, it's not just a superhero movie, right? You'll have people, maybe like myself, that will, after a wee while, will just decide, I love these superheroes, it's not doing what is, it's not doing as good or whatnot that it's supposed to be. I'm not going to click on to any site that somehow deems negative of it. I'm just going to put my thumb down, don't read it, right? But that's me missing out on the negative stuff. Not the negative, but what that person's trying to say. I'm not interested in that person's opinion. I'm only interested in mine. So, and then you get heated up. You get upset because, and it's a vicious circle. Now, here's the thing. Are we getting controlled? Right? Yes, I know I'm jumping subjects, but it'll all connect in a wee minute. Are we being controlled on how to live our lives? Right, so right now, basically, we have thousands of years ago, we had religion, right? Religion was telling us how to live our lives, right? And if we didn't live our lives according to these people that believed in this stuff, right? They would be killed, they would be slaughtered, right? You had the Crusades, right? Every little religion around the world had somebody that says, if you do not abide by these rules, right? So people travelled around the world, Christians travelled around the world, right? And gone was the Romans' idea and everything else. It was all Christians, and then now we have the Muslims, and now the Hindus, and everything else, right? So we've got all these religions which all have one thing in common, right? It all comes from a book, and you go to see somebody in a place of worship for his advice on how to live your life. But now that's becoming passé, right? A lot of people are waking up and thinking, I'm not really getting into religion. Superheroes tried it. Man of Steel and everything else is all symbolisms all throughout, right? Of the greater good and everything else. And superheroes movies can have a political agenda. I mean, it's everywhere, right? I was watching a program called The Good Place, and the writer. Now, see, here's the thing here. Writers of TV shows and movies, they have agendas as well. They want you to listen to them, right? So they can write something like in The Good Place, there's too many Spider-Man movies. Ben Affleck was a serious guy, but then he says yes to Batman, right? This was all said in The Good Place. I went, and this is, so this writer's got an issue. Boston Legal had many issues, right? And it was a fantastic show. But they all had these agendas. Everybody has an agenda. And then, of course, when this writer, but again, the writers, they have to answer to the people above, right? Because it's people above, like the studios, they want it done a certain way, right? You have the fiasco of the Gillette advert about men, and all of a sudden, everybody on the planet is all about, women and women films and everything else, and let's show that we do our bit. But again, it's there's somebody up there that's telling us that's what we should be watching, right? To somehow educate us. The only reason now that we're noticing it, apart from maybe they were doing it 10, 15 years ago, right? But the only reason now that we're really noticing it is because whoever's in charge up there doesn't realise that majority of us have already moved on to that place where the majority of us aren't racist, aren't sexist. Right? And I do believe that. I believe, but because we're no longer those things, right? We spot all these so-called lectures about how to live our lives, and it is like Big Brother, right? You go into your house and you could have an Alexa, right, a wee dot that operates your heating system, your TV, and everything else. We've all seen programs and movies that has that can control your heating from some sort of computer, right? Or you can use your mobile to control your heating in your house, right? If you go anywhere, they know what channel you're watching. Internet, so everything. Like, you've seen all the movies, right? And some of it must be based on true stuff, right? That they can see, everything's like a smart device. Everything's all, and because of the entertainment systems that we have just now, from your PlayStation, your DVDs, your tellies, we're all buying into this consumer stuff, right? And we're staying in more often. We're not going out, and we're not investigating stuff on our own. So it's so easy now on this media platform that we can be persuaded to follow whatever this place above us wants us to do, right? And that, so when you watch something like a superhero movie, or as I say, stuff like that. So when you're watching a superhero movie, it isn't just a superhero movie anymore. What you're wanting is, you're wanting diversity. You're wanting a superhero movie that doesn't delve into politics, because again, it's whoever does the screenwriting for that movie. That's the agenda that you're paying into. It's this person's view of the world. And that's why it's important that we have diversity in these films, or seem to have, because it's, otherwise they're all saying the same thing. I mean, you look at it just now, we have Birds of Prey that just had a wee sneak peek preview, right? So that's going to be all women. So that's coming out just now. We have talks about Wonder Woman. On the Marvel side of things, we've got all this Captain Marvel stuff that's going to come out. We have websites and critics now that is telling us that this is the proper way that films should be done. We have Rotten Tomatoes telling you how to trying to tell people how to make a movie, right? Critics are trying to tell people. So and then you've got, are they actually getting paid by somebody to say this? Because they get brainwashed. They not brainwashed. Sorry, they get paid money to fly over to exotic countries to watch the premiere, to influence them on their choice. So as a normal consumer like ourselves, we worry about the future. We worry about what we're getting. We worry that our product that we love isn't going the same way as everything else is. Isn't following suit like everything else is. Right? We had a good Aquaman movie, but is that going down the same route? Is it just following the trend of everything else that was successful? Should we listen to the majority of people? But that's it. So it's not just a superhero movie. Everything in our life has an agenda, and we all have our own agendas. It's just that we decide to turn away from it. We look the other way because we'll look for things without investigating it. We dislike things like a drop of a hat just because of, it's the old saying, never judge a book by its cover. Right? But in this world, we don't have time to find out what's in the book. We'd rather just look at the cover and say, no, we're not going to, we're ready to put down something without actually finding things out. So when I get emotional about sci-fi, movies that I love, TV series that I love, the superhero movies that I love, I have got every right to be angry and to voice my opinion and not worry about who's listening or who's not listening. I mean, many of these sites, right? I get paid. YouTubers, they get money, right? The real big ones, right? Some of these big websites, YouTubers, get paid by the film industry, like Star Wars fan sites and stuff like that, right? They get commission or something like that to go to the premiere, so they've got to like it, right? They've got, because that's how they earn the money. So hats off to them. But in order to get your likes or your subscription, you've got to watch what you say or watch what heading you give your video. Because, again, it's society telling you can't put that down because people will not watch your video because of the headline. And it's ridiculous. So the object of this video right now is just be yourself. Try to be yourself, voice your own opinions, watch videos. Don't somehow, because that's what I used to do that's what I done for my page. Is when I was trying to put a positive spin on things, I would have to read all the stuff that I didn't like in order, all the bad reviews, in order to turn it around into something positive. And then when I get my other editors and saying, why are you bothering listening to this rubbish? Why are you bothering listening to this? You're making me depressed. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want. That's what my editors were saying. I says, well, this is what I am reading. I am reading this article, and there's got to be 1,000 million other whatever people reading this article, and I want to do something about it. Just ignore it. No. We should never ignore anything. What we can do is voice our strong opinions. Make videos. that may upset people, make headlines that may upset people, but at least in some form it gets noticed and they can see that you're upset and that you're not one of the lemmings that are falling for this somehow controlled society that we live in. And as we look back, there is a lot of people in the past that predicted what's happening today happen. And everything's got an agenda, right? World wars have an agenda, right? The Nazism, right? They brainwashed the children. Blood Diamond brainwashed the children in order so they can kill their parents, right? World War Two, the Americans never got involved because they never stopped. Got into the war to help other people, other nations, until it came to something like Pearl Harbor, and then even though they were asked, they never came because its agenda wasn't in their best interest. The Afghan War, believe whatever you may about who started the Afghan War. If it was the conspiracy theory one about how it was a made-up war in order to get land, right? And who blew up the two towers? Was it them or was it themselves who shot John F. Kennedy, right? So of course but each one of these, Vietnam War, you've watched the story, it all had an agenda. They've all had agenda to get us to where we are just now. What is it? Then there were movies that were banned. Trips to, did we ever get to the moon? Then they made a movie about going to the moon, and it was all rehearsed in the back studios, right? And then that film was not allowed to be made. So it was turned into, instead of the moon, it was Mars. Again, why? It's because there's somebody up there controlling what they want us to believe and what is to like. So, superhero movies, music, Live Aid, right? We didn't hear any government stepping in in the 1980s to save those African children. It took the average Joe Bloggs, a musician, to create something like Live Aid to fight against it. The people actually, and then the government steps in, and there's many a times when the people themselves have raised their voice, and then the government, who's meant to be working for us, right, or working for the better humanity, then they suddenly get into it because it's the majority thing. We have people posting stuff for Snyder Cut because they hate the way it was dealt with. The director that we all liked, the mishandling of it all, we get passionate for that. So no, it's not just a superhero movie. And it's not just a hobby or a passion. It's something much, much more.